Money's moving to me. I'm a millionaire. This money better cases. I ain't gotta chase it.
Hey, what's going on, beautiful people? What's today? No, it's Monday. It was about to be Tuesday. They're literally 1 minute on the East Coast. But listen, y'all, I came back on here. I was literally done for tonight. I had taken my wig off. I took my I took my lashes off. And then I realized what today was, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to come on and talk and give God the praise for where he has brought me from. So, if you're watching me live tonight, let me know where you're watching from. Rep your city, rep your country. Let me know where in the virtual building you are watching me from on tonight, this morning, depending on where you are in the world. Let me know who's here. Let me know who's here. Comment, y'all. Comment. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with my intro. As I always do, my name is Sharita Leon. I went from being a homeless, disabled, single mom to a two-time #1 best-selling author with books that were on the bestsellers list for over 2 years straight. I'm also a life, relationship, and business coach, an internet marketing strategist, entrepreneur, international speaker, and the protege of legendary Les Brown, a Forex trader and investor, and I empower my tribe to live their God-given purpose while creating wealth and have healthy relationships. I'm also a believer, and my faith is exuded in all that I do, so welcome. Good morning, Pastor Sean. I can't believe you're still up right now. So listen, y'all, I had to come on here because today, February 15th, makes the 12th-year anniversary of when I was hit and ran over by an 18-wheeler truck while I was walking. I was not in a car. I was walking and was pregnant at the same dang on time. And literally looking back, I can truly say that God is amazing to have gone through all that I went through in that particular time of my life. It felt like everything was done. You hear me? It was like done. I felt like my life was over. And I wanted to come on here for a couple of reasons. One, to give God glory for allowing me to see this day, because there are not many people that have my story, that have my testimony. There are not many people that could say they've been hit by a car, let alone ran over by a truck. Like, the truck is behind me, I see the truck, and boom, like, nobody can really say that, right? But I also came on here because I wanted to encourage and inspire someone. Because there are people right now that are going through things in their lives. And it may not be as dramatic or horrific as to what I experienced by being run over by a truck. But it may very well be something very difficult for you right now, and you may not be able to see your way out. And so tonight I'm going to come briefly to share with you words of hope, words of inspiration, to let you know that where you currently are is not the end all be all. That where you currently are literally is a part of your testimony. I want you guys to really think about this for a moment. When I was ran over by that truck 12 years ago, there were a series of traumatic experiences that I went through back to back. So I get ran over by this truck. Literally, then I have emergency surgery. While in the hospital bed, I find out that I have nowhere to live. Then, while finding out that I'm about to get cut under the knife, I found out that I'm pregnant. So you have 3 crazy, traumatic, out of this world experiences happening back to back. I'm in a city where I really don't have any family or friends to help me. And I'm lying on a hospital bed and I don't know where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. And let me tell y'all this, as I was walking, when I got hit by that truck, I was on my way to church and I was 3 minutes away, if not less, from my church when it happened. And you could imagine the questions, the turmoil, the like, what is happening to me, God? How could you let this happen to me? Well, I'm on my way to church. What's going on? This is the thing. Life happens to everybody, right? Christian, not Christian. You know, he says that he reigns on the just and the unjust. But even with that, let me tell y'all something. That day, before I went to church, I had an uneasy feeling in my spirit. I didn't feel right. And of course, we're thinking, oh, that's just the devil, because we're quick to rebuke the devil. That's the devil. He don't want me to go to church. No, that was God telling me to sit my behind home. But I was on my way to church and I felt this uneasy spirit in me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go anyway. Lo and behold, I should have stayed home. Why am I sharing that? I'm sharing that right now because there are certain things that go on in your life. And then the first thing we do is blame God. God, why'd you let this happen? God, I'm a faithful servant. God, I'm this. God, I'm that. Not realizing that one, God always gives warning. He always speaks to us. Now, whether we choose to listen or not, that's a different story. But he always speaks to us. Number two, everything is always a part of the journey and story if you allow it to be. He sure was, Pastor Sean. Some of us are so stubborn, though. Some of us are so stubborn that we have to get hit by a truck to get it. And I'm one of them people. Well, I was one of those people. Amen. Not anymore. I was. But sometimes we go through things, and the first thing we want to do is blame God. Everything's a part of your story. Everything's a part of your journey. And you have to choose to learn from those things so that you become better. If I had allowed myself to stay and blame God or blame the situation or blame this person, blame that person, I would have never been able to grow, learn, and become who I am today. And so tonight, this morning, depending on where you are in the world and when you're watching this video, I want you to know that wherever you currently are in your life, whatever trials you may be going through, you don't have to stay there. I need you to type that. I don't have to stay here. Wherever you are right now in your life, you don't have to stay there. And that was a decision that I made. When I was literally homeless, I didn't know where I was going to go. Laying in a hospital bed, I had literally nowhere to go. I couldn't even walk, y'all. I couldn't walk, and I was pregnant. I had a machine in my leg 24/7. It felt like life was over, like for real, for real. And I'm that big faith girl. But listen, honey, when you in a situation like that and back-to-back trauma, it's like, whoa, God, where you at though? That's how I felt. That's how I felt. I felt abandoned. I felt like there was no end. But that's how I felt, but it wasn't the truth. See, if we could decipher from our feelings and our truth, a lot of us would be way further along than we are right now. My feelings were lying to me. That's right, but God. My feelings were lying to me. My feelings were telling me that I was stuck. My feelings were telling me that God had forsaken me. My feelings were telling me there's no point to living. This is over. Give it up. That's what my feelings were. My pleasure. That's what my feelings were telling me. But the truth was, God knew the plans He had for me, of hope, to give me an expected end, that I was the head and not the tail, above only and never beneath, that He had given me the ability to get wealth. Those were that was the truth. I didn't feel that though, especially when I had no food to eat, nowhere to go. I didn't feel that, but that was the truth. See, when you can get your spirit and your flesh to align with the truth, things change. When you get your soul to align with the truth, because your soul and your spirit is different. Your soul is your will, your mind, your emotion. That's the soulish realm. So when you can tell your will, when you can tell your mind to align with the spirit, which is truth, then eventually the manifestation of the truth happens. But if you stay stuck listening to your emotions, listening to what you're going through, listening to what your body's saying, you miss it. Now, of course, you're going to have moments when it feels like OMG, but in those moments, what are you listening to? What are you watching? Because, see, I had to build my faith even the more when I was going through all of that. I had to remind myself the scriptures that I was holding on to. And you have to do the same thing for your life. But even in the midst of all of that, eventually what would happen? I would get back to being who God called me to be and tap into the opportunities that came my way. Y'all, I couldn't get a job. I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk, and I was pregnant. Where was I going to go? Who's going to hire me? Nobody. I couldn't couldn't even find a shelter. Like, that's how crazy it was. I literally was looking for shelters. And I had a friend of mine at the time that went to the same church as me. She was helping me try to find a shelter. And I couldn't find a shelter because at that same time, it was around the 2009 era where there was the whole, situation with the economy and the recession. And so people were in the shelter. So I had nowhere to go. So when I tell you that things were rough, oh, it was rough. It was rough, okay? But in that, I kept speaking the word most of the time. I ain't gonna lie, most of the time I did. There were times I was just like, I'm done. But I kept speaking the word and reminding myself of who I am, where I'm going. And then what did God do? He allowed opportunities to come my way. He brought people my way to help me along that journey. I'm telling you, when you operate in faith, you see things happen that make absolutely no sense at all. I had a family let me stay with them that I didn't even know. Let me tell you how I met them. So when I was a part of an old church in Atlanta, we were big on living by faith, right? So we would go and say, hey, I'm going to go move into a house. So we would go get a realtor, right? So I had a realtor and I was having her show me the different houses, and I met that lady who was a realtor. We became friends, well, associates really. And then I somehow get into a conversation with her and say, hey, listen, I need to move back to Atlanta, and I'm looking for someone to stay. Are you renting your room? And she was like, actually, we're renting it out or something like that. I was like, okay, no problem. Now listen, I called the lady to ask her if she was renting her room. With what money, Sharita? How are you going to pay this woman? I didn't have no money to pay that woman, but I called her in faith, like, listen, God, you're going to figure this out. I don't know, but do you have a room to rent? Because I'm going to pay you. My faith. Faith does not make sense, but it makes faith. So she calls me back, like, I don't know, maybe 2 days later. And she's like, you know what, Sharita? Me and my husband want to help you. What? Me and my husband want to help you. So you can come and stay with us. And in exchange, help us with speaking English. So they're Colombian. So they're like, you'll help us with speaking English and you can stay with us. Okay, God, listen, lesson right here. What are you sleeping on that you should be going out there going to do? What can you be doing right now instead of saying, well, I don't have this. I'm not qualified here. I don't know that person. No. What is your faith telling you to do? I called that woman knowing that I had absolutely no money, nor did I have the ability to go find a job. And she didn't even know what was going on with me physically. But I called her because I was determined to stay in Atlanta. I wasn't trying to go to Florida. I was not trying to go to my mother's house. I was not trying to go to Florida. I was determined to stay in Atlanta. And lo and behold, that woman and her family let me stay there. And so things would evolve later on and opportunities would come for me. And eventually I would be able to make it back on my own. And I'm telling you, you guys are sleeping. This industry called direct sales and network marketing is a real thing. It's a real thing. Because let me tell you, when I started getting my feet back up, I introduced someone to a direct sales opportunity that later on, yes, Pastor Sean, that favor is real. Favor and faith, they go hand in hand. And so I was able to tap into this industry of direct sales, and literally it started booming. And it was actually more so direct sales and internet marketing. And I left my job that I had. Eventually I ended up getting a job. We're fast forwarding the story now, right? But I was able to get a job, and I left the job because the direct sales company that I was a part of, I was seeing how my friend and my dad were making mad money. I was like, wait a minute, they'll make like $1,000 a day. I said, wait, I'm sitting here at this job making nowhere near $1,000 a day, and they were at home closing people making $1,000 a day. I said, okay, you know what? We're gonna switch some things up. And I literally started with them, and that opened up the door to so many different things. And let me tell you, you don't know what dot is going to be connected to get you to your end result. You don't know what dot is literally going to get you to your destiny. You don't know, which is why you have to be willing to go, willing to walk by faith, live by faith, being willing, no matter what comes your way, to still show up in life. Most people would have checked out a long time ago, going through half the stuff I went through. They were like, I'm done. But if you're willing to move, if you're willing to keep going after what God has put in your life, in your heart, the vision, if you're willing to be determined to be successful, you're going to see that happen. Point blank, period. And so today, I can sit back and look at how God has brought me through so much. From literally when that truck ran me over, and I thought that my life was over. When I said I thought that my life was over, I thought it was done. Now, let me tell you guys a little funny part of the story, right? So when I got ran over by the truck, there was a good Samaritan that came to check on me. Unfortunately, nobody took the dang on license plate of the truck. I would have been a multi-millionaire by now if somebody did. But anyway, so the person comes out of that car to make sure that I'm okay. So I'm in Atlanta, right? I'm in Buckhead. And so this amazing gay man comes to make sure I'm okay. Now, he's a flamboyant gay man. So you know they're over the top, right? So he comes and he sees my leg and he's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So now I'm trying not to freak out, okay? Because obviously I just got run over by this truck. In my mind, immediately I start putting the blood of Jesus out of my mouth and I start praying in tongues. And I'm trying to calm myself down. And here he comes. Oh my God, girl, are you okay? Oh my gosh. And I'm like, Jesus, help. So at this point, I literally thought that my leg was amputated. So I thought my leg was amputated on some part of the ground. I didn't know it was still connected to my leg. Jesus, it's crazy. But all of that was going on at the same dang on time, y'all. Oh my gosh, it was just so much. And imagine, I was pregnant. So you know when you're pregnant, ladies, your hormones are everywhere. You don't know what's going on. You're like all emotional. All of that was happening at the same time. OMG. But glory be to God, because here I am today, overcoming all that. And I have a beautiful 10-year-old daughter who made it through that traumatic experience with me. Tell me God ain't good. Like, God is amazing. God is amazing. And from going through that, having nothing, I had no food, nowhere to go, couldn't walk, all of that, to being able to create a lifestyle by design, to being able to live in a luxury building in New York City that nobody's ever lived in my apartment. I'm the first person to live in my apartment. I wake up when I want to wake up. That is nobody but God. Nobody but God. And my ability to take action and not be okay with not having enough, not being okay with being a status quo, not being okay with being a statistic, not being okay with everyone patting you in the back, saying, well, it's all right. No, it's not all right. Because if you are right now in a place where it's not your divine destiny and you know there's more on your life, it's not okay to stay there. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what the circumstances are, who left you, who did what, it doesn't matter. There was a lot of people I could have blamed, one person in particular, but I wasn't going to do that. Come on, Pastor Sean. High-rise luxury building in New York City. Come on. Doorman and all. Concierge and all. But because I knew there was more to life, I didn't settle for mediocrity. I didn't settle for being poor. I didn't settle for being disabled. That's the other thing. Folks would just be like, well, I'm disabled. I'm going to sit here and get a social security check. No. There was more. There was more. And there is more for you. There is more for you. And so I came on here tonight after I took my wig off, wind down and everything, to remind somebody that there's more for you. To remind somebody that there are opportunities that you need to tap into to allow God to show you his glory. to literally be able to see the manifestation of your dreams. And let me tell you, an industry that changed my life is this industry called direct sales. And it can do the same thing for you. I had to become somebody different. I had to do things differently. And because of that, I now have different results. So I'm going to challenge you to do the same thing. I told you all that this year I'm helping 20 people create 6 figures. Will you be one of them? Will you be one of them that literally positions yourself to make money in your sleep? Will that be you? I know what it feels like. I'm just saying. Will you be one of them? If you are, you need to get in my inbox. If you're watching this directly from me, get in my inbox. If somebody shared this video with you, follow them. But you need to get in my inbox and we need to talk. Because at the end of 2021, you can say that I did something different. You can say that I became one of the 6-figure earners that Sharita was talking about. That could be you. If it is, let's talk. If you're watching me from YouTube, you can go ahead and text me at this number on the screen. Or if you're watching from any of the social media platforms, you can text that number. Text 6 figures to that number, and we will talk. And I will show you how you don't have to stay where you are. There is more. There is room at the top. Y'all okay with there's room at the cross? There's room at the top. There is room at the top, baby. There is room at the top for you. The question is, will you tap in? I'm just saying, will you get on board? Will you get on board is the question. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I came on here tonight really quickly to share my testimony and to thank God that 12 years later, I am here. 12 years later, when I felt like my life was done. Had nowhere to go, couldn't even walk, had no money, nowhere to lay my head. I was broken, y'all. Like, I had never been broken like that in my life. Like, I had been broke before. I don't like using that term, but I was broken. Like, it felt hopeless. It felt hopeless. There was so much physical pain and changes that I was going through at that time. Yo, I'm telling you, most people wouldn't have made it. The mental capacity that you need to go through something like that, son, nobody but God. All right, y'all. It's 12:21. Let me get off of here. Thank you for watching. Until next time, only believe until the end and go get your life, baby. Go get your life. I'm out.
I'm a millionaire, money better cases. I ain't gotta chase it. I'm a millionaire.
Get your money. Get your money.